Chapter 7, Episode 51. Home for a moment. The news had arrived by the next morning. A break? Ryoma asked. Yes, Lillian the maid answered. We've made more arrests and now control more of their base of operations. No fires or attacks have happened since last night. At this point, some of the city residents pose a bigger threat than our enemy. Yes, I've heard some word about that. They've turned to rioting. They claim to be vigilantes taking up arms to protect the city and their families. In actuality, they are just charging up to anyone they deem enemies and assaulting them with their overwhelming numbers. Some are even looting from stores and houses. More people have been injured and sent to the hospital because of them. Adventurers who, after helping with evacuation or firefighting, were accused of sabotage anyway. We'd anticipated the possibility of a riot, but what caused this one? The constabulary hasn't gotten around to interrogating those they've arrested yet. However, some of the rioters, especially the more aggressive ones, were most likely under a suggestion spell. The riots are almost certainly orchestrated by someone else. That's what I was thinking, Ryoma said, exasperated. What a lovely parting gift. Can we assume our main enemies have mostly been dealt with? Mostly, yes. We should still remain alert for any remnants. That being said, the Duke has requested your assistance in dealing with the aftermath, rather than the lingering threat at hand. Clearing out the wreckage of burnt properties and building temporary housing for the evacuees, for example. To that end, while you can, you need to properly rest. That's why she's talking to me alone in this warehouse, Ryoma understood. Lillian took his silence for hesitation and stared him down, determined. Whether or not it's healthy for our city to rely on one individual so much, the reality is that we could really use your and your slime's help all over the city. That's why we need to rest now, so you'll be at your full strength when we need you the most. You've barely slept in 3 days from the firefighting and administering medical treatments. And you've been repeatedly taking magical recovery potions. They may not have any immediate side effects, but they are definitely not good for you long-term. Combat or healing, every spellcaster learns to recover their magical energy primarily through rest. I see. Then I'll take you up on that and get some rest. What's the matter? You seem so surprised. I am, if I'm being honest. I expected a little more pushback. How much a workaholic do you think I am? We all have faith in your character and abilities, but I don't think you've earned our trust when it comes to taking rest when necessary. I know cleaning up this ordeal won't be done overnight. I intend to rest when I can. Allow me to prepare you a room before you change your mind. Oh, I'll go back to my home in the mines. I'd be more comfortable there anyway, and it's no time to waste any resources, let alone a whole room in the city, on me. For you to rest, so it's no waste. Besides, we still expect remnants in the city. We know you are a capable fighter, but I still hesitate to send you outside the city alone. Ryoma put on a reassuring smile to convince Lillian. Don't worry. Security at the city gates is stricter now, and I'll be jumping home immediately with space magic. Even if some remnants find their way to me, the mines are defended by slimes. They'd trip the alarm before they even reached the slimes. By the time they made it all the way into my home, I'd be out of there with another bout of space magic. Of course, it would be no small feat to catch a fleeing space spellcaster. I have faith that your defense systems are effective too. But, besides, I have a decent amount of crops and herbs I've experimentally grown at home, so I want to bring them in. I've been told the guilds and the city have a decent stockpile, but any extra wouldn't hurt, would it? I suppose not. While it hasn't become a problem yet, we do have some concerns about food and medical supplies down the road. Some food stores and warehouses have been attacked, and restocking won't be easy this time of the year. Most of the crops at home are potatoes. Some vegetables. I haven't taken account or anything, but I could probably fill a warehouse or two in the warehouse district. That much? I'd been at it every day to practice my spellcasting and farming, and the goblins are a good source of labor. Farming has become more efficient since some of my scavenger slimes have evolved. If we weren't in this situation, I'd love to tell you all about it. I do have plenty of food ready to mass produce, once I can set the place up for it. That would be of great help. Do you need any extra hands to transport all that food? The slimes and goblins have it covered. Are you saying that just so you can do some kind of work when no one is looking? No, I won't. No. I'll rest, I promise. I'll even stay in bed while I share my senses with the goblins and have them carry it. They've multiplied to 32, so it won't take long at all. I would think sharing your senses would make you even more tired. Fine. As you wish. Thank you for understanding. I'll let Dr. Maflal know, and I'll take my leave, as long as there are enough hands on deck, Ryoma concluded. Filled square. Ryoma headed to the examination room and relayed this plan to Maflal. I see, the doctor replied. Gradually, we are starting to have a little downtime. Protecting and supporting patients post-care is an important job too. We'll hold down the fort here, Ryoma. You can go where you're needed. Thank you, Ryoma said. I'll take my leave, then. Ryoma returned to Lillian, who waited outside the room. Dr. Maflal gave me the go-ahead, so I'll head home. After loading the supplies into Dimension Home. I think I'll return tomorrow morning. That's fine. Please rest as long as you need. If you collapse, it will severely affect the cleanup of the city, my duty as the Duke's employee, and, well, me. When you put it like that, I do feel sorry. I'll try my best, Ryoma said. The next moment, he heard a commotion behind him. Whoa! Please, stay down. He found a man being carried on a stretcher. He must have just been treated in the neighboring examination room. He was swathed in bandages nearly from head to toe, there was less of him uncovered than covered. Despite his condition, the man was frantically trying to get off of the stretcher and out onto the streets. Just as Ryoma stepped forward to stop the man, he heard Isabella's voice. Sleep mist. The poison magic flew through the air. The next moment, the magically soporific mist had enveloped the man's face, and he'd fallen like a puppet with its strings cut. Just before he collapsed, Isabella was there to catch him and effortlessly hand him off to the hospital staff. Phew, she sighed. Spectacular work. Oh, Ryoma. You were outside. What was wrong with him? Lillian asked. Isabella gave a quick look around, then lowered her voice. Apparently he witnessed a kidnapping. Ryoma's and Lillian's expressions darkened. Kidnapping? That's no joke. Isabella couldn't contain her exasperation. I don't know much about it, but he was deliriously calling the child's name all through treatment, so he must have known them. Should be painful to even stand, but, you saw him. As soon as he regained a sliver of consciousness from a healing spell. We contacted the constabulary, so they should be on it. Hopefully they'll find the child safe. Just as she said so, the next patient was carted in. I have to attend to that. Sorry to keep you, Ryoma said. Thank you for that information. Once Isabella returned to the examination room, Ryoma glanced in the direction where the sleeping man was taken. Lillian noticed. Then, I'll be heading home, Ryoma said. You're going to search for the child, Lillian stated. Just for a moment, Ryoma's smile unmistakably froze. How did you know? This is why we can't trust you to rest on your own. Kidnapping is a serious business, but the constabulary will be on it. And you won't find the child by searching the city blindly. Unless you have any clue as to the identity of the kidnapper. Just a guess, but yes. Really? Of course, I know you wouldn't lie about something like this. I've been gathering information on the city. Places with less traffic. Signs of shady business. It's only a hunch, really. Not enough reason to bother the constabulary. So I just thought I'd make a pit stop, Ryoma said. If there's nothing amiss, I'll go straight home. I know full well that my job isn't to investigate crime. Ryoma smiled weakly. As apologetic as he was determined. Lillian's face soured. They stood in silence for a few seconds before she let out a long sigh. Please, at least take a few people who can fight. And promise that regardless of whether or not something is amiss, you will only verify your hunch and not pursue the matter further. Thank you. It's admirable to jump into action. With a proper skill set, you're invaluable. If you could take care of yourself a little bit better. I know I always make you and the others concerned for me. I know. Why don't we hold a little gathering after all the dust has settled? A little R&R, Ryoma said, as if suddenly inspired. Well, that'd be more work for the maids, I suppose. We have 3 days left in the year, so a small gathering after things have calmed down shouldn't be a problem. Once everyone isn't as busy, Hughes or someone else will suggest it, anyway. The constables should be rewarded for their hard work too. Really? I'll be looking forward to it. Please tell anyone who asks I'll see them tomorrow. Understood. We'll be awaiting your return. Unlike his earlier attempt at departure, Ryoma left the building naturally but quickly. Lillian watched Ryoma leave. Then returned to her duties.